Hi, welcome to another episode of the Leadership Talk Show. I'm Johnny Zielinski, and this is my lovely co-host, Ashley Ramirez, and we will be interviewing today Brian French. Brian, how's it going?
It's going great, actually, yeah.
Fantastic. What's your title at the Vested Group?
That's a good question, actually. They hired me in as a senior consultant.
Okay.
But I'm actually doing, it's weird, I'm actually now reporting to DWeb and doing solution architect work. But I haven't started that work yet because I'm assigned to do customer support for Peloton. So it's been kind of an interesting start. Yeah.
Just taking off hats, putting other ones on?
Yeah, just basically doing what needs to be done.
Totally understand that.
Yep.
They hired me as a court jester, so, but here we are. So how did you wind up at TVG? I bet this is an interesting story.
Well, I guess it was 2016 we did an implementation at the company I was working with. The Vested Group did the implementation for us. So I got to know all the founders and a lot of the core people that, sort of originally set everything up. And then we signed up for ongoing support. We were one of the first, I think, that did the, level billing and stuff early on.
Okay.
And I relied on TVG. And 2020, I decided it was time for me to go find a different gig. I wound up being NetSuite admin for that company for the entire time. So when I started looking, the Vested Group was my first choice, but didn't work. So I took a project doing NetSuite and some other design development software stuff. And that company killed the project in December. So I took some free time and hung around, did nothing over December and January, which was kind of good until the wife looked at me and said, okay, this is a bad thing, you being around the house all the time. And so in 2021, I reached out to Polk, and she and I had lunch, and then she and I and Mac had lunch, and they said, okay, we got to go through the interview process. We got to go through the formality.
Yeah.
Which was funny because everybody I interviewed with was everybody I knew. I think there was one person I didn't know, was D-Rob. So as a result, I think I did okay. I'm here. Had another weird onboarding experience with TVG. It was my second during COVID, right? So the first one was they walked in the first day, they handed me my laptop and sent me home.
Yep.
The second one sort of got delayed a little bit and shuffled around because I think you guys we had just started opening the office back up in February and of 21. And when I got ready to go, start, I was like, okay, no, not this week. Someone came in with COVID and they sent everybody home. So I came in like the following week. It was the 15th, I think, of February, and been here ever since.
Yeah, trying to get the office reopened when everybody's just like slowly figuring those things out. It was such a, for lack of a better term, it was such a circus, like we were everyone was just trying to figure out if it was okay, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. I bet that was real fun for you.
A lot of false starts, but yeah, the previous company I'd worked for during the height of COVID in 21, like I said, I walked in, they handed me my laptop, sent me home. And I worked remote the entire time. I think I was worried about having to drive to Fort Worth every morning because it was like I'm in Wiley and it was the other way across Dallas. And I think I went in the office 4 times for, 9-10 months.
Wow.
And the fourth time was for me to hand my laptop in. And then send me home again. So, this was no different than anything else. It was just unique.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us about your family. Where did you grow up?
I'm one of 6 kids. I've got 4 sisters. My wife and my wife Erin, of 30 something years, 32, 3. And my son Declan, we lived out in Wiley. But we're originally all from Ohio, my wife and I. And I've been in Texas now actually longer than I lived in Ohio. So it's kind of weird. You look at, I was born in Ohio and raised in Ohio, but not really, because I've spent 23 years of 53 years of life in Texas. So, I sort of, even though I wasn't born here, I'm kind of, one of those adoptive native, honorary Texan now. So that's the family, and life's fun.
That's great. Geez, I can't imagine having that many siblings. I have 1, and that's enough. So, Lauren, if you're watching this, I love you. How would you describe what you do? And then after you're done telling me that, if you could tell me how your significant other or your mom or dad would describe it.
I sort of look at what we do as problem solving, right? So we build relationships with customers, clients, whatever you want to call them. But it becomes a partnership. And we get to know the people and get to know the company and how they do business. And then solve the issues, figure out what those sore spots are, and whether that's just implementing NetSuite or it's actually doing other things in custom work to make their company a success and make the individuals successful. That's what we do.
I can see that solution architect mind at work.
Yeah.
You're telling me that.
Yeah. So
Very good.
it's been interesting from moving from other careers in my life. I've worked about 40 years of my 53 years on Earth. So so moving into the consultant world was something different. Wasn't sure I'd like it, but haven't got to do a lot of consulting yet, other than just for one customer since I started. But it's been fun.
Do you feel like, consulting, just kind of like the act of like giving advice, does that like come easy to you?
That's not. Part of it's giving advice, and part of it's just really thinking and going through the logical steps of trying to help them solve something, right?
Sure.
And you're not always saying this is the way you've got to go do it. A lot of people see consultancy as they're going to come in and tell me what I have to do, and it's a partnership, right? It's hey, this is the way you're doing things today. You might consider doing it this way, and you may, but through that collaboration, come up with a third way that's the the middle ground, and find that middle ground and go forward and make them successful.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said.
Why do you come to work?
Oh, wow. Well, I don't come to work that often. No. Really, it's the problem solving for me. A lot of people, it's for the learning. I've been a lifelong learner. Didn't do college until I was 39-ish.
Wow.
So had some false starts and stuff early on, just because I really didn't like high school, that kind of thing. So for me, it's problem solving, and it's the relationships and the people as well. But yeah, the whole working remote thing has changed my perspective on, I became kind of an introvert for the last 2 years of, hey, I can work in my home office and reach out through video and don't have a problem with that.
Totally get it. So what did you want to be when you were a kid? Like when you were growing up, what did you want to be?
Well, I always liked that, like the Saturday morning and Sunday morning high chop theater stuff. So early on, it was like, I wanted to be a ninja and go, kill people, right?
Absolutely,
I guess early, somewhere along the way, I figured out that's not a good career choice. So, I guess it was, early high school, I really got into science and math and aerospace engineering and that kind of thing, and wanted to go the route of being an astronaut. So looked at, joining the military, which didn't thrill my parents none. Realized that the best route would probably go to like the Air Force Academy or Naval Academy, and started down that route. Was pretty far down that route, and the only thing I could not get is to get accepted into those locations. You have to have a congressman or senator or a vice president, recommendation, as if poor kid from Southern Ohio would even have a chance of getting one of those in writing to
Ninja
submit.
into their office and
So that sort of just went out the window, and I decided, I've been working for years by the time I graduated high school, and military. I went as far as taking the ASVAB. Nothing wrong with the military. Got a lot of friends in it. I scored rather well on the ASVAB, and then my phone started ringing like 4 or 5 times a day, to the point that Mom finally shut them down and said, "No, you're not going to go do that." And I was like, "Okay." So I decided to go work. So I just basically started working, which is why I didn't go to college till 39. So.
And what were you doing in that time?
Let's see.
All sorts of things.
All sorts of things. Like I said, I've worked for about 40 years. So when I was 13, I got a job shoveling horse stalls. So I've done everything from that to restaurant work to retail. I worked in a factory for a while. Finally got a job in Houston. My wife took a teaching job when she graduated college. We put her through college first, and moved to Houston and started looking for a job. And after one of the companies I was at got seized by the feds, someone embezzled some money. So as a result, I was out of work and looking, and a friend of ours got me a job at Compaq Computer back in Windows 3 one day, so shows my age a little bit. That's an operating system for those that don't know. But yeah, so sat in a lab, drove a mouse, moved out of that, started doing program management. And when HP came in and everything, I went to various companies after that and got bored with that and moved to Dallas to do Bluetooth solutions and program management. So yeah, I've done a little bit of everything.
I was just going to say, like, when someone's like, what experience do you have? And you're just like, yes.
And I've managed systems. The company I was at when you guys came in, I actually, by chance, I understood the NetSuite side, but took to it pretty quick. Became system admin, and then basically their manager of business systems. So I was actually maintaining all their business systems for them up until I left in 2020.
From horse stall shoveler to ERP cloud
Yeah.
software solution architect.
Yeah, I've been there, done that. Everything, manufacturing, all that stuff. So it's interesting.
I've been everywhere, man.
Yeah. School of hard knocks.
So, how long you been here again?
Just a year and a few months. I think I started in February. So whatever that.
So just gonna celebrate your anniversary by going
Yeah.
to Cancun, yeah?
Actually, I did not. Could not. My wife's had some health issues. She was diagnosed last year with cancer.
So sorry to hear that.
So, been a rough year, but hey, Vesta Group supported me, and we got through it.
Well, absolutely. Wish her the best as much as we can. Hopefully, there's more Cancun trips to come, or at least other.
Yeah.
really
So
trips.
you can see all the photos and everything. It's like, man, I really want to be on the beach this week and not here. But it is what it is, and this year's going to be a little bit different. So yeah.
When you make it out to one of those, we will absolutely celebrate your anniversary. We can make
Yes,
it a
definitely.
combined
Yeah,
trip.
yeah, that would have been. I think that actually fell. Wasn't that early February, mid-February when you guys
Mhm.
went? So yeah, I think it sort of fell over my anniversary time. So just kind of cool.
Wonderful. Well, that how long you been here leads into Ashley's next question.
Uh-oh.
What's your favorite workplace tradition?
I really enjoyed the fair day. I'm not a crowds person at all. Sort of not really a phobia. It's just I don't deal with people that was it a friend of ours says that I don't suffer fools well. So me and crowds and people just being rude and stuff doesn't work. But I actually enjoyed the fair day, which is counterintuitive to that whole thing at the Texas Fair. But the group was fun to be around, and it was fun to be out.
So aside from being around, the amazingness that is the people of TVG, what else did you do at the fair that you really enjoyed? Was it the food, the drinks, the rides?
I think it was the food. It was the food. Didn't do any of the rides. I actually enjoy some of the roller coasters and scary stuff. My wife would not do any of that. So she actually was one of her first big outings this past February. Or past year. So it was like I said, it was just good to be out and sort of connect with people from the Vesta Group.
I love the food there, man.
Yeah, I've never met food I don't like. So
giant turkey leg in one hand, foot long corn dog in the other, just beating on my parents with a couple of drumsticks when I was a kid. Just love it. And everything
there's
fried.
Something new every year, so it's
that's the
exciting
amazing
to
part
see.
is the variety of food that's there, right? So there's that one whole section that it's just booth after booth after booth of different types of food. It's not all just corn dogs and hot dogs but it's just all this gourmet stuff with these nice restaurants coming in and doing fair level food. It's different.
And they always have the contest for what's the best fried item each year.
Yeah.
And I think one year was fried peanut butter and jelly with the whipped cream and bananas on it. And then there was another year they won, it was the fried lobster tail with champagne gravy. I was like, ooh, how fancy.
sounds so good.
Cost you 30 tickets. As opposed
Yeah,
to everything else
yeah,
costing
yeah.
2.
Yep.
All right, so we're actually we got one more core question for you to figure out just a little bit more about who you are. What do you wish people knew about you, or what do you enjoy doing outside of the office, outside of work?
Well, that's an interesting question. So it took me a long time in life to get to a point where I actually shut work off when I left. So in 2020, with COVID going on, just before that, I went out and I'd had a motorcycle for years. It got stolen. I never replaced it. When we moved to Dallas, it got stolen out of the work parking lot where I was working. So didn't replace it. And one weekend we decided we were out. It was like a first warm, sunny day in February. We don't get a lot of cold weather in Dallas, but it had been, pretty yucky that year. And we were out running around. I said, let's go look at motorcycles and that kind of thing. So we drove several different things and wound up driving the Vanderhall three-wheeler and bought a Vanderhall, which is American-made product, and have put 27,000 miles on it in 2 years. So
Driving a
yeah,
little bit, I guess.
for something that's not supposed to be your primary vehicle, that became the lifeboat during COVID, right? So every day, 4:30, 5 o'clock, come around and we'd go out and get in the car and go for a ride. So that's been my hobby, right?
Does it hold 2 people?
It holds only 2 people. I like to say you have to really like the person next to you to get in there with somebody, because it's kind of close quarters.
Cuddle up a little bit, yeah?
Yeah, you have to get close, and I think that's why the wife likes it. There's no divider really between us, so I have to spend time with her. So, but yeah, so it's it's an interesting vehicle to be in. I'm actually in it today, even though it's looking like it's going to rain, but in it every chance I get.
Well, I know that you provided me some pictures before the interview, so at this point we will be seeing some photos happen while you're talking about it, so that the audience will absolutely know what you're talking about. It is definitely cool and interesting, and you have some friends that do it too, right?
Yeah. So during the, I guess, early days of when I first got it, I reached out through Facebook. There was a group in North Texas that was the North Texas Vanderhall Ownership Group, and was like, okay, do you guys get together, do rides, do you do anything? And at the time, the answer was no. So I said, okay, we're going to do an ice cream social. So, April something or another of that year, I got everybody together. We actually went out to Wiley in the middle of COVID and had an ice cream social. It wound up being cold that day. I think it was in the high 50s when everybody showed up. And so we didn't have as much ice cream as we had fried pies and stuff like that early in the morning, and it sort of hung out. And then we started just getting together once a month, and then it sort of grew into a few times a month. We went camping in October of 2020. As like I said, middle of COVID, we all got in our Vanderhalls and loaded them up with camping gear, which was a challenge.
Is there a trunk? Yeah, is there a trunk?
There's little to no space, storage space. So I do have a luggage rack on the back, but yeah, you put 2 sleeping bags, a tent, clothes, and stuff for 4 or 5 days in there, and drove to Oklahoma and went to see the Tahlumina trail and all that stuff.
Sounds like a blast.
It was a lot of fun, actually.
That must be cool, just to have all those driving up there together in like a squad.
Yeah, I think that first trip we had 5. Mm-hmm. I've been in group get-togethers where we've had as many as 15. 3 of us out of the North Texas group went to South Dakota last year in the middle of July to the 3-wheeler rally that takes place every year up there.
How long of a drive is that?
It was pretty much 2 full days. Left Dallas at we were supposed to leave at 7 o'clock in the morning. Had a hookup disconnect. I guess there's more than one Buc-ee's on 45. So one of the guys got there a little bit late, but yeah, drove up. I think we did 11 hours the first day, about 10 hours the second day, and of course made a. I've got an interesting video of that, but yeah, made some wrong turns. Went through the Badlands in middle of July.
Yeah.
Not a cool thing to do. It was hot, but it was a fun trip. So this year we're doing the same thing. That group is going together. My wife and I, since she couldn't go last year, she actually sort of planned it last year, and then with health issues she couldn't go. So she forced me to go without her, which was kind of a nice break. So this year we're going, and we're doing things a little bit grander, I guess. So we're going from here to Provo. July 1st. We'll be in Provo, Utah for 4th of July, and then to Yellowstone for 4 or 5 days, and then over to South Dakota. So basically up through Wyoming and all that stuff, and seeing all the national monuments and parks.
27,000 miles makes a whole lot more sense now.
Yeah, so I think just the driving trip without any sightseeing, why we're in Yellowstone or why we're in South Dakota, is almost 5,000 miles. So
there it is.
Yeah, so the first 2 weeks of July, I'll be gone, which is great because the Vesta Group allows me to take that time, right? So
love that for y'all.
It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, I'm super jealous.
Worried about the heat a little bit. Worried about the heat, but
it's okay.
Last year it was miserable getting out of Texas and Oklahoma. Once we hit Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, it was gorgeous the entire time. This year, we're taking the southern route and going out to Provo, which I think the highs there are in the 90s still. So, like I said, a little bit more worried about the heat this year, but you deal with it.
They get you one of those little necklaces wrapped around, has the fans that
spray. My wife actually has one of those. Believe it or not, it actually works, but don't know how well it'll work in the open top car. She hasn't tried it yet. So
only one way to find out.
That's right. She'll get an opportunity.
Well, we're going to jump into some. That was a great conversation. So I know we were kind of lingering on that one for a while. We're going to jump into some wild card questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you could relive your high school days, would you?
Oh, hell no. There is no way. Even knowing what I know now, if I could take that knowledge back with me, I still wouldn't do it. Not that I really just didn't like people in high school or anything like that. It's just, school, especially schools today, are just, no. Just have no desire to go there, right?
I'm in the same boat, so I would say the same answer if you asked me that question.
I know it's hard to believe, but I peaked in high school, so if I could just go back for one day, take me back. I'm just kidding.
Maybe one day, but not relive all of high school. That would be the trauma and years of psych eval to figure that out, having to do that a second time. I don't think it'd be worth it, right?
So I guess what compare yourself to any animal and tell us why you picked that animal.
You guys sent the questions, that question out, and I was like, wow, we just had this question in our delivery huddle.
Did you really?
Yeah, so someone asked that, I think it was last week, and you're in delivery and that question comes up, and I happened to be the first one on the call today, and it was like, oh crap. So I picked chameleon because they're kind of sneaky and they can switch colors and blend into the background and everything. Sort of the ninja thing
I was
again,
just
right?
about to, I was
There's
just about
a
to make
theme
that
here.
comparison.
But to be truthful, I like wolves. They're very loyal. There's that pack mentality. I'm a fairly high moral person when it comes to my tight circle of friends, which is pretty small. I don't think I've ever kicked one out, but the wolves have that whole thing that you do something wrong, they kick you out, and you're out for life.
Yeah.
But for the most part, yeah, it's hard to get into that center circle. But my core circle of friends probably hasn't changed much in probably 20 years.
Sure.
So
that's awesome. Yeah, that's something. I definitely pride myself on as well. I got the same core group of friends since like first grade.
Yeah.
It's an awesome thing to have. And also Randy's answer was wolf, so we are slowly forming a pack.
There we go.
Which I love that. We just need maybe about 2 or 3 more.
I really want to know what movie scared you as a kid.
This is a little bit of a rough one for me. Didn't go to the theater a lot as a kid. There were 6 kids. It's kind of hard to take 6 kids to a movie theater.
Yeah.
That we kind of lived out in the middle of nowhere in southern Ohio, in farming community, right? So, but that said, movies just overall don't really scare me. They still don't today. I've seen all the Exorcist movies, and I kind of like that genre of movie, but they don't really scare me.
Okay.
I think it's my rational brain can sort of figure out this is reality and this isn't.
Yeah.
And it's always been that way, and so it just doesn't bother me that much.
At this point, I wish we had somebody like behind the couch, like jump up and be like, "Whoa!" Things I wish I'd known ahead of time. Do you have like a irrational fear, like spiders or anything like that?
Nope. Spiders don't bother me. Snakes don't bother me.
Nothing really.
Yeah, it's just that's.
Brian French, everyone.
I grew up on a farm out in the middle of nowhere, right? So you play in the woods. Summertime was mom would throw you out of the house at 8 o'clock in the morning and tell you to be back by dark, right? So you learn to just get along and do what needs to be done just to get through the day.
All right, this is a good one, especially since you're a self-proclaimed food lover. Who or what would you choose? Let's say you're on death row, for instance. Your very last meal.
So you're assuming I'm on death row. It's the needle in the chair. What's your last meal?
For all those people you killed as a ninja.
That's a rough one because, like I said, I love food. I love to bake. I love to do candies and chocolates and stuff like that. I do a lot of that, but I eat a lot of that. But I think my favorite food would probably be lasagna. I don't get that very often because my wife won't eat it, and my son doesn't like it. So as a result, I'm the only ones. You make homemade lasagna. It's a huge pan.
Yeah.
You can't make just one serving. At least I can't. Yeah. So and it would have to be mine. I've not found many restaurants that I like their lasagna at. Believe it or not. I do have a good close friend that she worked with my wife for years in McKinney after we moved up here, and she, during the last year, has brought over several pans of lasagna. And it's like, okay, that's some good lasagna. So, Nancy, thank you. Yeah. Tommy doesn't thank you, but yeah.
I've never been like I do like lasagna, but it's never been like the top of my list. But I was watching Sopranos recently, and they're talking about like his wife's homemade lasagna and how she layers basil leaves over the top of it and stuff. And I was like, I went out and got lasagna that night specifically.
Yeah, good lasagna. It's they say cooking's a profession of love, and good lasagna takes time, right? You got to dedicate time to make the sauce, time to make I do everything from scratch all the way up, except for the noodles. Making noodles is such a long, painful process. So I use store-bought noodles, but for the most part, it's one of those. You do the sauce on Saturday, and then you assemble everything and bake the lasagna on Sunday. So it takes time.
It's like dinosaur chicken nuggets takes about like 4 minutes in the air fryer. It's the quickest relationship I've ever had.
I haven't bought an air fryer yet.
Oh my gosh, you're missing out.
Air fryer is awesome.
It's so incredible.
I don't do a lot of fried foods at all. It's like about the only fried food I do is French fries. And even them here of last couple of years, it's just like I don't care for them. I think the restaurants have changed their fry recipe or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Of course, they cut back on the salt, right? So they don't use a lot of salt at the restaurants anymore. But back in high school, the old days, French fries and chicken nuggets on a Friday night. Yeah, I get it.
Well, when I first heard fryer too, like I think the instant thought for everybody is like it's like gonna fry your food and it's unhealthy, but it really is just like a really fast paced
Air baker,
air
Yeah.
baker.
Yeah.
Throw chicken, whatever you want in there.
Yeah, a friend of
Dinosaur
ours
chicken.
has one, and she keeps telling me that I need to get one and try it. It's just I haven't done it yet.
I'm pretty sure you could air fry lasagna if we really tried.
Yeah.
That would actually be interesting because fried, what is it? Ravioli, right? That's you can get that at restaurants where it's fried, where they cook it and they bread it and fry it. So that'd be
Go get
interesting.
lunch after this.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing.
I know
now.
fried ravioli sounds so good.
Ashley, you want to hit us with one more?
Yes, I want to know, how would you explain a database to an 8-year-old?
This was a hard one. I thought about this one yesterday a little bit while I was actually doing other things. It's right. Kids are. Recently had a trip where I spent some time with my, I guess my niece's children, which is scary to even think about, right? And how I would explain a database to them. And I think the easiest analogy I could think of is, kids love their Hot Wheels and little cars, right? And they've got those little display boxes. So a database is sort of like taking all your Hot Wheels and putting them in a display box. The only difference is the front's got a clear cover, right? So you can see what's in it, what color, what scratches, what type of car it is and everything else, and know which one you want to pick out of that before you ever open the box, right? And that's sort of a database. So database, you can sort of catalog all that stuff and quickly see it without having to do the heavy lifting work to get data in and out.
I love where everybody's minds go with this question. That's a great answer, but it's just like, so, it just goes like, versus Randy's answer, you guys are both a very unique approach to how you would explain it. So, which is the purpose of the question, of course, but love that. Brian, thanks so much for taking time out of your day to be on the show with us. Let us ask you questions and talk to you about your
Fun.
life. Appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
Thank you.
Nice to be here.
All right. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Leadership Talk Show. You can find out more about our company by going to thevested.com. And if you want to watch more episodes, go to YouTube and search The Vested Group or The Leadership Talk Show. Thanks so much, and we will see you next time.
Bye.